Ex tries to send girlfriend to harass me for money. I took legal action. Disclaimer: I want to post this on a burner so the truth is out there at least somewhere. A lot of background information. First, I met my ex Shane and HS, but I didn't know them well at the time. After HS we talked a little here and there and they seemed like a decent person. I also met my ex-fiancée Jane and HS as well. Jane and I had a rough on and off relationship until the year I got pregnant and had my son. Jane is taking hormone supplements. This was a time before they made the decision to become female. Upon finding out this news, Shane had dropped off the face of the planet until sometime during COVID. At this point I had left Jane due to things I have now forgiven my ex-fiancée for. During COVID, I didn't understand why after 2 years of radio silence Shane had all of a sudden resurfaced and tried to talk to me again. I could see they were doing much better in life, which was a huge relief, and I was happy for them. I however kept contact minimal and decided to keep going with my own life. The next 2 years going forward after 2020 I had started to struggle extremely hard due to toxic family, and it would be after these horrible 2 years that Shane and I would start dating because I had enough of the life I was living and wanted better for my child and I. When Shane and I started dating I was working as a substitute teacher. I was also on food benefits. I would ultimately pay for all the food in his apartment and then pay him back for things he would buy me. I would even pay him for my phone as well. He added me to a phone plan because of the fact we were both not okay with how my family used my belongings or my child against me. Eventually on Thanksgiving night however Shane would do something to me so unforgiving that was also not with my consent. I felt disgusted and angered, but I wanted to try to move on. I would start distancing myself to try and process and cope with what happened that night. Shane didn't give me the space I needed and started going behind my back looking through my phone. He knew my passcode, plus I always left my phone open to him so he knew he could trust me, but he proceeded to look through my phone and look at old conversations I had with friends from a year before I even started dating Shane. He tried to make me feel bad and take accountability for these conversations, and I told him that he had no right to get upset or try to make me feel guilty for something that happened before he and I were even a thought. I told him how disappointed I was that he felt the need to look through my phone and that I've never hidden anything from him. I even pointed out how he always had full access to my phone, so him looking for something to make a fuss about made no sense to me. He apologized and assured me he wouldn't do it again. After these two things happened I started to wonder about my relationship with Shane. I then set up a trap conversation with a friend to see if he would stick true to his words. I did genuinely want to see the good side of this. Also, a bit of a side note, Shane was also supposed to pay me back $90 but only paid back $77 at this time as well, having started an argument about having to pay me back. Shane came home from work on this day. For his job he is usually out days at a time on the road. During the times he is gone I would be at work, cleaning house, or playing on my Switch. It was a quiet and simple life that just felt perfect. Around this time I started getting heavily into Fortnite and Pokemon. When Shane came through the door I purposely left my phone open and on the couch arm as I went upstairs to do my makeup. He came upstairs to ask me if I was happy in our relationship, to which I replied I was. At this point I had already knew he looked at my phone. I didn't let my emotions show, although I was disappointed yet again with Shane. The text conversation with my friend and I was me saying I felt like my relationship with Shane was forced and my friend just expressing sympathy. I waited for Shane to admit to me that he had gone through my phone yet again. I understand I had set him up and it was probably wrong of me, but at this point the trust I thought we had in our relationship felt non-existent and I needed to see it for myself to make sure I wasn't just overthinking things. We all three went out and got dinner and Shane was abnormally quiet and seemed to be in a bad mood. Finally, as we arrived back home we sat on the couch eating together and I asked him what was wrong. He finally admitted to me he had gone through my phone. This erupted into an argument where he threatened to throw my child and I out, and I changed my phone password telling him I couldn't trust him if he couldn't trust me. That night I ended up sleeping in the other room with my child and crying myself to sleep. Eventually I confided into my mother, who offered advice and to help me find a place of my own. For the next month things between Shane and I were rocky. I refused intimacy with him, but purely because I'm asexual and have a really low drive. He would however get upset over this and ask if there was a way to get me in the mood or would make me feel bad for who I was and listening to my body. At this point I was ready to leave. I finally opened up to my sister about everything going on, especially what happened the night of Thanksgiving. My sister was very upset and offered to let my child and I stay with her. I even got a car of my own. In February I moved everything out while Shane was away at work. I never said anything to Shane about this, and once I was officially moved out I called him to officially end our relationship. Shane was quiet a moment over the phone before calmly accepting and then asked if there was any other guys involved, to which I truthfully responded no. I just didn't think the relationship was good or healthy. In April of 2023 I would reconnect with an ex who I was also close with in 2021 when I met them. They were very nice, we never had bad blood. We were only talking and just friends. Eventually in May he would come to my state to visit me for my birthday. At this point we would enter into a relationship. This ex was Diego. I would eventually find out Diego had a crazy ex-girlfriend stalker who I knew was stalking my socials. So I put a fake date on my Instagram to make her think Diego and I had been together for longer than we actually were. After a couple months however Diego and I would break up and it was again mutual, but to avoid a vicious cycle of him and I being together or friends due to other reasons that I will not talk about here, I purposely instigated a situation that would give me a reason to block and cut contact from Diego. I did that for both of our sakes and I don't regret it. I made this sacrifice and I hope he lives a happy life without me in it. I met my now fiancé in September, 2 months after my split with Diego. Things had been fantastic and wonderful. We're expecting a baby and my firstborn is excited to have a sibling. Now for the actual post. It's 2024. I work part-time in sales. I decided to quit being a teacher a year prior. Shane had found a new girlfriend, which was good for him. I hoped the best in their relationship. One night in May I had a feeling I needed to check something on one of my socials, so I did. Sure enough, there was an odd message from Shane's girlfriend asking me if I was ever abused by Shane. I still pay Shane for my phone bill. I had paid him $270 in April to cover March, April and May, so I had this feeling that his girlfriend wasn't asking me because anything was going on, but more like she was searching for something. I remained short and cordial because Shane and I were getting along relatively well. At least I thought we were. I responded back saying he never laid hands on me and our breakup was mundane. Then I asked if everything was okay, to which she said she was just asking. This further confirmed my suspicions, but I decided to leave it alone and just see what happens. It's worth noting I don't make a lot at my job and I get paid bi-weekly. Also, Shane never told me when the actual date is that the phone bill comes out. In the previous month I had found out that Shane had a delinquent balance on the phone account when I was trying to take myself off and switch to a cheaper phone provider. This was all due to a conversation between him and I as I was doing my best to help him, to which he had me as an admin on his account. It's June. The month had just started and I wouldn't be paid till the next week. I was in my car setting down after a long shift, taking a moment to myself because my body was in a lot of pain from being pregnant and on my feet for 8 hours on top of struggling with low blood pressure, which causes hot flashes for me. As I'm sitting in my car I get a text from Shane asking me if I have any money to send. I explained to him I wouldn't have anything until next week. Then the conversation turned semi-heated with Shane telling me they couldn't afford the bill anymore and asking if I had nothing to send for last month, stating they need to pay bills too. To which I calmly explained I understand, but I'm doing what I can with what little I have and that every paycheck I get goes to bills, making it hard to get groceries as well. At this point my fiancé is trying to get a manager position at his job so we're not having to struggle with bills and groceries. I should also mention my food benefits discontinued when I was with Shane due to an unknown reason that I still to this day will not know. I thought the text exchange between Shane and I seemed off. Next thing I knew I was getting a message from his girlfriend Marissa telling me I have to pay him or my new man needs to. I was not okay with them trying to involve my fiancé, who doesn't have to do anything to do with this, and I wasn't inviting myself to his money either. I took a screenshot of her earlier message asking about the abuse and sent it to Shane. My suspicion was confirmed. I got a call from Shane's number and it was Marissa. I hung the phone up immediately. The person texting me this whole time was never Shane but Marissa, who has nothing to do with our phones or the account as well. She started getting mad and calling me derogatory names while accusing me of things I never did. She said I cheated on Shane and used him, and I responded saying I would only talk to Shane and not her. After that I blocked his number and blocked her so she could no longer harass me. Shane was free to message me on other social media but never did. A couple days later I am woken up one morning by a phone call from a number I do not recognize. I let it go, having a sickening feeling in my stomach. It was Marissa. She left 2 voicemails attacking me yet again, calling me names, saying her baseless accusations, and then attacking me for being pregnant. In one of the voicemails she even threatened me with legal action. At this time I have called the police. They informed me the steps to take and what to do. I had went and gotten a new phone and took a video of us dropping off the old phone at the last known location I knew that Shane lived at. My mother then texted Shane's girlfriend Marissa to let her know we dropped it off and what time. It's worth noting we didn't text Shane because the phone company informed me the original delinquent balance had tripled and his account was suspended, so I thought maybe his phone was shut off. I had also found out my $270 payment never went to the phones but actually to a date with Marissa. I had gotten the recording confirmation from the phone store employee and sat in my car in shock. I didn't know what to feel. I was being harassed and accused of things. So I laughed. I laughed while also crying. It was the only thing that felt right at that time. A week later my fiancé got text from Marissa. At this point I am done. I have returned the phone and have no responsibilities to it anymore. I told my fiancée to block her. I unblocked her and greeted her kindly while also informing her to leave us alone, as I have already spoken to police and have stacked up the evidence of her harassment, threats and defamation with me. She argued back that I had nothing on her, but the evidence was clear as day. Shane was radio silent this whole time, which I wasn't surprised. He usually hides behind his girlfriends when he has an issue with someone. I don't blame her for coming after me. I was smear campaigned by him and she believed his words. By this point I called the police again and they finally got a hold of Shane and warned him and his girlfriend to leave me alone because they were indeed going down a criminal route. They were also informed the phone was no longer in my possession. Soon enough they blocked us and left us alone. In fact, a friend of mine told me they even broke up shortly after the ordeal. I hope everything here is finally over. To say I don't need therapy after this would be a lie. I'm currently looking into one to try and recover emotionally and mentally from this.